China and the EU have one of the most fruitful trading relationships in the world, with the EU importing almost 375 billion euros in goods and exporting just below 200 billion euros. China also is the EU's second biggest export market and its biggest source of imports. Why does it matter though?
Because global trade is a very relevant source of economic development by providing states with products they wouldn't normally create, as well as with new markets to sell their production surpluses, the excessive quantity of fabricated product, to creating new avenues for profit and prosperity. Even more so, when different countries compete in lower prices and higher productivity when producing, product prices should in general become lower and more appealing to consumers.
As China and the EU constitute two of the largest and most globalized economies in the world, their reliance on trade is exacerbated. With all this in mind, plus the fact that both see each other as vital defenders of an international order based on multilateralism, rules-based international free trade, and environmental protection in the face of an erratic US administration, it is essential for both countries that they maintain healthy and prosperous ties with each other. But there are some problems in the way, some of which relate to the complicated diplomatic relationship between the Chinese government and Europe.
First off, China has a less than stellar human rights record, from jailing dissidents, stifling free press, and routinely employing online censorship to its position as a one-party state with no resemblance of free elections. The People's Republic of China currently scores 14 out of 100 in Freedom House's Freedom Score and is probably the most authoritarian state in the world.
This directly comes into conflict with one of the EU's foreign and security policy's stated goals to protect and develop democracy, the rule of law, and to respect fundamental freedoms and human rights. Furthermore, one of the other objectives of this policy is to preserve peace and strengthen international cooperation. Current international disputes and tension-raising incidents, such as the South China Sea dispute with several Southeastern Asian countries, as well as accusations regarding the Chinese government's treatment of its Tibetan and Uyghur Muslim minorities, have all proven roadblocks to Sino-European relations and therefore to trade as well.
Other issues more directly related to trade and economics are also strains in the relationship between the two blocs. Though China has been a member of the World Trade Organization since 2001 and therefore supposed to provide a level playing field between domestic and foreign suppliers, there are widespread allegations of unfair trade practices in China, which generally means that China makes it really hard to 1. Produce internationally and then sell in its own markets, 2. Makes it really tough for foreign investors to invest in China in order to produce and sell their products there, and 3. It gives its products an unfair advantage abroad by driving down its price artificially through the implementation of subsidies.
These practices have taken many forms. One of the most common ones is the tariff. Anytime a country buys something from abroad, it has to pay the cost of the thing itself, plus a tax, a tariff. With poor intellectual property laws, meaning new inventions can be easily imitated without any compensation for its original creator. Pervasive government interference in the economy by making prices lower for domestic companies competing against foreign ones through subsidies, a practice known as dumping. And other actions are also effective measures preventing foreign companies and individuals from accessing the billion-strong Chinese economy.
There are other factors in this mix, namely the recent United States imposition of tariffs, which could lead to a vastly reshaped global trade environment, as well as China's history of economic espionage, and finally, a foreign policy mix of deep-pocketed direct investment in both developing and developed countries, some of them being part of the European Union, and not to mention the hardball tactics combating criticism against its human rights record. But considering all of this, there are a few crucial questions that underline the basis.
The first one would be, what consideration should be given to China's human rights record when formulating collective trade policy? And how can the latter positively impact the former?
The second one is, What measures can be taken to dissuade China from enacting further anti-competitive trade measures and reduce the impact of current ones?
The last one would be, what position should the EU take regarding the United States' recent maneuvering, and how can its trade position best be favored by it?